questions, which goes as follows. Which goes as follows. Guys, there's been a bit of an outbreak of kind of the epidemic of payday loans, etc. So should more financial education be given to students to make sure that they don't kind of exacerbate their maybe financial problems on the long term? I'm going to start with Georgia.
Yes, well, I had an idea for this. It's in my manifesto, actually. I quite want to set up a sort of online forum for students where they can exchange ideas on how best to budget, just to make sure they don't go into their overdrafts. And I also want to... we do have student advisors, obviously, but most of the students I talk to they aren't aware we have student advisors. And they actually liaise with banks for us to help negotiate when we pay certain things, and if anyone's having trouble with an overdraft or with payday loans, they can talk to the bank, they can talk to student finance. So I think the most important thing in this case is to raise awareness that those resources are available.
Thank you very much. Megan, you're next.
I think it's a really important issue, and I'm really pleased that policy passed on at Union Council last week. I think one of my main manifesto points, kind of money has been my focus this year, and it will continue to be next year. And it's about getting financial education into the curriculum. So working with companies such as Black Bullion to kind of get into the lectures at the start of term to talk about this, but also kind of utilising the advice centre. Only 2 weeks ago I was out with the advice centre talking to students about payday loans and about different kind of alternatives to payday loans, so looking at places like credit unions and stuff like that to kind of get out there what financial support is there. So definitely it's something that I will continue to work on, because I think it's a really important issue, and it's a big problem that we're seeing in the advice centre as students turning to payday loans.
Thank you very much. And Emma, you're next.
Well, I think in Freshers Week there should be like a compulsory lecture session where you learn about finance. Like when I was a freshman, we had a session about the medical centre. I think you should also have one about finance. And I think there should be more awareness about the Access to Learning Fund on campus. And I think we should focus on encouraging more businesses to invest in this fund, and so there'll be more money available for students.
Okay, thank you very much. And Alex?
Well, absolutely. It's going in and going out every month. I'd worked to introduce a Kent Union accredited bills package, which you'd be able to sign during Housing Week for your new accommodation, which you'd know the exact amount of money coming in out of your account every month for the bills, and you'd know it was the best deal for you that you could trust.
Thank you, Alex. So, there you go. So the next question is coming in from Twitter saying, how do you tackle mental health issues on campus? And we're going to start with Emma.
Okay. Well, I think first of all you have to sort of tackle the stigma around mental issues. I think we have to focus quite hard on this, because a lot of students don't want to sort of get help for their problems because they're worried about the stigma. So I really focus on sort of changing people's attitudes towards mental health issues, and sort of changing. Well, a lot of people have sort of a lot of misconceptions, and as a psychology student, I know quite a lot about mental health disorders and things. So I think I'll be quite good at it.
Okay, fantastic. And up next it's Alex.
I actually was lucky enough to be able to help out with the mental health week that was run this year, and I think that's something that, to reduce the stigma, I'd really love to see that happen next year and be expanded, and really work with it to really help reduce stigma. I talked about decreasing the waiting times in the university counselling service as well, which I think is really important. Obviously getting people in the position where they feel they're able to go to counselling is all about the stigma, and I'd really hope to have a really comprehensive week to really get people talking about mental health, especially to an extent. I think a lot of my male friends, that don't talk about emotional problems so much, and we really need to focus on how we can get everyone talking about issues that matter to them.
Awesome, thank you very much. And then Megan.
Yeah, I think it's working with what Emma said. It's around stigma and working with things like companies like Time to Change, and working on their action plans. So we're fighting stigma. I mean, this year in December I ran Mental Health Week, and we kind of made sure that students were inputting into that. So kind of our three aims were around homesickness, loneliness and work-life balance, and all of these ideas came from students. So it's about getting students involved, kind of ideas that they want to work on, and doing proactive work, getting out there and talking about the issues and talking to students about it. You know, one of the great things about the Time to Change thing is just sitting down there with a cuppa and having a chat with someone. And I think it's small things like that that can lead to kind of tackling the stigma that is attached to mental health. And then also doing work like the exam stress project that's coming up in the summer, where we're doing 2 weeks on kind of soft skills on how to tackle exam stress and anxiety as well.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut you off there, Megan. Sorry about that. And then last but not least, George.
Thank you. Well, I actually had to use counselling service for a couple of months last year, and what struck me was the waiting times were appalling. That is definitely something I would work to improve. Mental Health Week, I think it would be nicer to have some more inspirational speakers, have some maybe endorsements from hospitals or something, or even just eye-grabbing games or something, even though that sounds trivial, just to raise awareness, because it's important to get it out there that it is an issue. And even, let's face it, we have the attention span of hamsters. We need to kind of make it memorable that it's out there, it's available, you can use it. So.
Thank you very much. Okay, well now we're going to move over to Social Media HQ, where I've heard these guys have found a good couple of individual questions for you guys. Been some sort of technical hiccup there. We seem to have lost Social Media HQ. The question is going straight to Alex Tiley, and the question is, where will you find the money for the Kent Capital Scheme?
Kent Capital Scheme. This is one of my manifesto policies that I didn't get a chance to touch on. And the idea is to work as a fund that can help students implement projects that they really want to see happen. They can come and we can use this scheme to actually help fund things on campus. I'd like to see this run in numerous ways. Obviously, it would be something that I'd like Kent Union to be able to budget for, but also we can do a lot of volunteer work and fundraising. As VP Welfare, I would be integral in the volunteering and fundraising aspects to raise the money to go into the scheme so we can give back to students.
Thank you very much. Okay, right. I'm hearing that everything in Social Media HQ is okay now, so we're hopefully going to throw over to them. Daisy, can you hear me?
The question for Megan Wells is, why do you think students registering to vote is a priority? And is it not their own decision?
Okay, thank you for that, Daisy. So, why do you think students registering to vote is so important? Megan?
I think it's really key because we need students to make, like Daisy said, to make that decision. If you're not registered to vote, you don't have that decision in the first place whether you should vote or not. And we really need to make sure that local candidates that are standing, especially in the 2015 general election, are listening to students and not just listening to kind of the people that vote. Like, students are less likely to vote, and I think that there's some crucial things, not just about higher education policies, but around stuff like how the NHS is currently moving towards being more privatised. There's, like it's been mentioned, more waiting for mental health services. And so if students register to vote, then they'll be able to have a much bigger say in their local community.
Thank you very much, Megan. So, right, third time's the charm. Let's chuck it over to Daisy at Social Media HQ.
Okay, this is for Georgia Dawson again. How would you pay for a delivery service from Essentials? Oh, nice question.
I think the main point there is students actually need jobs as well. So the delivery people, do put an advertisement on Job Shop, it would be part of the staff around campus, just another job, so it would create more job openings, which is useful. So I think in the end it would benefit students in multiple ways in that sense. Also, I'd like to think about resources from alumni donations and places like that. If we can appeal to the right people, I think we can raise the right amount of money for it.
Thank you very much. Okay, right, let's see if we can hear again from Social Media HQ. Daisy?
Yeah, would welfare reps be treading on the toes of course reps? That one's for Emma Marriott.
Okay. I don't think it would be treading on the steps of course reps, because course reps are more to do with like academic problems, whereas welfare reps are to do with like the non-academic problems and to do with like stress and loneliness and things. And it's sort of just, they're organised like by the different academic schools just as sort of more convenience rather than necessarily because like you do psychology or you do law. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, right, now we're going to move back over to the kind of general questions. This one's come from YouTube, and the question is, how will you ensure that groups on campus such as mature students or ethnic minorities, their issues are dealt with and through your position of VP Welfare? So we're going to start with Megan.
Yeah, no, I think minority groups is a really key thing. I mean, I've been a Liberation Officer, I was a Liberation Officer in my second year and a Liberation Officer in my third year, so I kind of know a lot of kind of what these groups go through, and I think it's vital to make sure that these groups are heard. So I currently support the Students with Dependents Officer and the Mature Students Officer, and making sure that their campaigns, as someone who isn't a mature student or a student with dependent, can have that autonomy, but can also make sure that they have the correct support from the union, and making sure that liberation groups get involved with the union as much as they can. Then liberation groups are much less likely to take part in elections or volunteering, so kind of empowering those students to take part in union life.
Thank you very much, Megan. We're going to throw that over then to Georgia.
I think, like Megan said, contact with the Mature Students Officer is important, as well as to check up on cultural societies which defend those minorities as well, make sure they have all the support they need. That would be very important. But Kent itself, I think we're very lucky in the sense that we have very, very high equality already. We're quite a melting pot of diversity here in Canterbury, which is one of the main reasons I picked this uni. We are the European university. So I think that we're already on a very high standard, and we just need to maintain current standards of making sure everyone's voice is heard.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to throw it over to Alex.
Making sure that people feel included on campus is something that's really important. I was lucky enough to be elected to the Your Rights Zone as the facilitator of it, and I made it my job to launch an inclusivity review to see how our societies were doing and how the venues were doing at making sure that students are feeling happy. And as VP Welfare, I really want to expand upon that, and I'd actually like to turn it into a scheme that would reward societies, for example, which made students feel really welcome. Additionally to that, I think the current liberation training, which is offered to part-time officers, is another thing which I think should be expanded onto all members of staff, including bouncers at the venue, so that they're well equipped to deal with minority issues and be respectful and know how to deal in situations they find themselves in.
Thank you very much out there, Alex. And then Emma.
I think listening is really important, like listening to minority groups' ideas and like their opinions. And I think it's really important to make sure that we're a really inclusive campus, and so that like groups work together, and so that we don't separate groups. I think it's really important for us to work together. So I probably focus on maybe creating some joint events between different groups, between different societies and things. And, yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're moving on to we're going to cut back to Daisy over at Social Media HQ. Sorry about that. Apparently we've had another technical hiccup. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but don't worry. So, okay, we're going to be talking about transport next. So transport's always been a big issue on campus. What are your plans for this kind of issue through your role? And we're going to start with Alex.
Obviously, I already talked about how I really want to be able to set up a Hales Place shuttle service, which will be able to take students home late at night when the buses aren't running. That's something I think is really important. It means students aren't discouraged to stay late in the library if they want to work on their deadlines and things. That's my main policy towards it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're now going to move over to Georgia.
Well, I think it's a big point in my manifesto as well. I really want to extend service times, maybe get a night bus going in some way, because I have so many friends who are girls first year, they've gone to town night out and they walk back by themselves at 3 in the morning. It's not safe. A bus would solve the money problem because it'd be slightly cheaper than a taxi, and it would just mean a lot to know that they're getting home safe. Also, I think in terms of transport between Medway and Canterbury, we should increase the amount of shuttle times for that, because at the moment it's only running about every hour, isn't it? And I have a couple of friends in Medway who just feel so kind of excluded. I think more shuttle times there would really help them feel more part of Kent University.
Thank you very much. And we're going to move over to Megan.
Yeah, no, I've been working with the university this year on looking at the implementation of a 24-hour bus, and we're currently on the brink of finding out whether that's passed or not. but kind of for next year, working with Stagecoach and looking at the Hales Place service, trying to get it extended for longer hours, and also looking at the price of it. The unibus into town is subsidised by the university, but yet the Hales Place service isn't so. So looking at how we can reduce the cost for students living in the Hales Place area so they're not having to spend as much money.
And now we're going to go over to Emma.
Yes, I would also focus on reducing like the bus fares, especially to Hales Place, because like living in Hales Place, the bus is really expensive. And then I would also focus on taxis and sort of reviewing the different taxi companies and seeing which ones we think are personally safer and which ones are cheaper, and then coming up with a list of ones that we approve of, and so that students know that when they're getting into a taxi it should be safe and that it should be a fairly cheap one too.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Now we're going to hopefully return over to individual questions to the candidates. To my knowledge, everything is okay in Social Media HQ. Daisy, how...
We have another question coming in from our website, and this one's for Georgia Dawson. They ask, why should moving fire drills be a priority?
Priority so much as it would be nice. I'm not sure if there is a particular reason why they have to do it in the morning. Maybe there is, but if there is some way you can move it to the afternoon, it would be a lot nicer on students who have a deadline the next day and like have been stressing all night and they do need their sleep. It's not so much a priority as it would be a nice benefit.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Georgia. Daisy, have you got another one for us?
Okay, and this one is for Emma Marriott. The question is, how would investigating alternative income for the university be in your purview as a Kent Union SAB, and what might those alternative sources be?
Well, I think researching alternative sources is really important because currently the university does rely on accommodation, like rent, to their income, and so like it's all very well saying that I really want to have there be cheap accommodation on campus. The university is relying on the accommodation, then we have to look for alternative sources of income for this. And I think one of the areas I focus on is the research side of the university, because that's what like a university used to prime itself on. And so I really focus on seeing which areas of we can get more money for the research. And, yeah.
Fantastic, thank you very much, Emma. Got a lot of very good questions coming through from social media right now. Daisy, do you have another one for us?
Okay, this is for Megan Wells, and the question is, how would you enforce a zero tolerance policy with clubs and bars in Canterbury which aren't part of our campus?
So I think this is a really good question. It's something that kind of came up recently in the Student Republic debate, but it's also about, so Canterbury is part of a kind of system called Purple Flag Scheme, and so what it means that it's like beaches and parks and stuff. Canterbury has a purple flag for its nighttime economy, and I think bringing and it's saying like responsible drinking and stuff. I think bringing in a zero tolerance is a great way for not just students but for everyone in the local community to feel safe. And within part of that zero tolerance, it's about making safe spaces within different shops. So there are places around the country such as Bradford where if you feel like you're being stalked or you don't feel comfortable, you can walk into a certain shop and it is a safe space. You can wait there for the police to come. And I think getting local companies and businesses involved in this is a really good way of making not just the bars but also our city safer.
Thank you very much, Megan. Okay, right, Daisy, I've got another one for us.
I've got another one for you. This is for Alex Tiley. How would your welcome packs differ from those welcome packs already available?
No, it's a great question. This welcome pack isn't the standard welcome pack that you will get in when you move into your accommodation as a first year. This is a booklet especially dedicated to helping make your money go further, to help with financing tips. It's especially geared towards that. It's got vouchers in it so you can get discounts at Ken Hospitality places like Dolce Vita. It's a special dedicated one, and it's also not just for first years. This is something that would be distributed on both campuses and available for any student.
Thank you very much, guys. Now we're going to return back over to the group questions again. This one is one that we've received from a certain Johnny Williams from YouTube, and it says, how will you tackle the issues raised by the student body regarding miscommunications with Campus Watch and bouncers? So, Emma, if you could kick that off for us.
I think what I'd like to do is I would like to sort of have like a questionnaire or something and get all students' opinions on it, because we do hear a lot about like the bad experiences that students have of the bouncers and things, but then we might not be hearing the good experiences that other individuals are having. So I think the first step is to have like a questionnaire and see what everyone thinks about it, and then go from there, like after we find the results and see what we can do. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Megan, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we've just got a new security company into the venue, which I was part of bringing in this new company, and part of it was about zero tolerance and responsible drinking. But I think doing events such as Meet Your Security, I think is a really good way of getting students to be able to kind of interact with these members of staff during the day, and then they'll have that better connection with them in the evening on a night out, and they'll feel more comfortable to approach them if something happens to them in the bar or in the nightclub.
Thank you very much. So, Georgia, where do you stand?
Well, I think in this case we should take a look at individual members of Campus Watch as well. If there's like one person keeps receiving complaints, obviously it's not to do with a group, it's to do with the one person. But if it's one student that keeps complaining, then it's to do with the student. But I think in most cases they do know what they're doing, they are trained to do it, and more activities that could kind of make them endeared to campus. Like, we have a mental illness week, why not have a security week where students can interact with the bouncers and Campus Watch, just to kind of build a stronger rapport between them. I think little steps like that can make a big difference.
Thank you very much. And Alex?
So I already touched slightly on what I did as the facilitator for Your Right Zone, which allows students to sort of talk about their issues in venues and with staff. I've also already touched as well on the fact I want to be able to provide liberation training for bouncers so that there won't be a miscommunication between them and so that they know how best to deal with different situations. Also, one of my main manifesto points is I want to launch a safety week which gives actual sensible advice to students so that they can be in control of what they do, so that they know that they're well informed when it comes to basically going out and having a good time, and so they know their rights, and basically we can have a more holistic attitude to keep safety on campus.
Thank you very much there, Alex. So the next question is, do you have any plans, for helping out with international students that have had problems with integration and appreciation? That's for Megan first, sorry, so I'll repeat again. How will you deal with issues with international students who have had trouble with integration and appreciation on campus?
Yeah, so I think it's about working with the International Students Officer and their committee to kind of empower their students and to get out there and talk to it. I mean, I've been out and I've got in my manifesto about ensuring their access to healthcare and about guarantors, but as someone who is not an international student, obviously I haven't experienced coming to a different country to study, but I think working with the student volunteers that we already have is a great way of empowering those students, but also finding out the key needs of the international students to then be able to help them to integrate better. We've got great things like World Fest, where different cultural societies come together, and so I think it's really working on different initiatives like World Fest and other cultural events.
Thank you very much, Megan. Alex, where do you stand?
It's about making people feel welcome. Even for students that are going on a year abroad, they're very apprehensive about having to go off and not having to meet new people, and integration is something that is really important. And so I think it's absolutely something that the VP Welfare needs to focus on and be able to help people feel included. And that is through creating sessions and hosting events for international students so that they can meet other people, they can feel accepted, they can feel welcome, they can feel at home.
Thank you very much. Georgia?
Well, I was actually an international student myself last term because I did a semester abroad in America, and even though there was no language barrier, the culture shock was very scary. So I can imagine to a small extent how international students here feel. I think it's key to maybe give them a buddy or a mentor during their time here, someone they can go to with all their problems, maybe even a group of people for one mentor, just so they have friends as well that they can automatically meet. Also, more mixes between international students and the home students would be nice, just to promote making friends between the two groups, because out of fear, sometimes you do kind of shy away from people, and we're young, we need to live life to the fullest.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Last but not least, Emma.
Well, I think with having new welfare reps, we can have more people available to chat with international students and provide support for them, and perhaps create a couple of new social areas where with cushions and things where people can just come and chat, whether they've got a problem or whether they just want to come and have a chat. And this will be accessible for international students, but other students as well. And then perhaps sometimes also put on additional events to try and get people to meet each other and make more friends.
Fantastic, thank you very much, guys. So another question is, how important is the zero tolerance policy towards tackling discrimination? Georgia, if you can start us off.
Like I said before, I think we're a very lucky university in the sense that there is not much of it. There will probably always be some because the world is not perfect, but we're very lucky in the sense we're already tackling it quite well. But it is very, very, very important. I think, like I said before, liaising with cultural societies is a big step to promoting sort of making sure they're supported in all the right ways. If they're having a problem, they know that they can come to a Kent Union figure. Also, more freshers fairs throughout the year is a point in my manifesto. And I think that would also get them more integrated into basically mainstream culture, because they'll be able to advertise their message, advertise their culture, just really celebrate it whenever they can throughout the year. So that's also important.
Thank you very much. So Emma?
Okay. Well, I think this is really important, as I've already said. And I think that supporting the liberation officers, they have some aims that they want to complete by 2015. So I think I'd sit down with them and see how we could achieve those aims, what we still need to do. And yeah, I think just listen to stuff like that.
Thank you very much. Okay then. So Megan?
Yeah, no, I think the zero tolerance is vastly important to tackling discrimination. It was brought into Kent Union in my second year, and there was such a big difference to the culture and the attitudes of people in the venue, and now that it's been kind of taken campus-wide with Kent Hospitality taken on as well. I think it's key to the cultural change that we need to take. It's not going to solve the full problem, but it certainly goes a long way to tackling discrimination and harassment. It just makes people feel that they have a voice and they can voice that opinion when they feel that if they're uncomfortable on a night out. So yeah, massively.
Thank you very much. And Alex?
I think that the zero tolerance policy is a really important part of making sure that all of the Kent Union venues are a safe environment where students' rights are protected. I think it's absolutely great that the new security contract that we've signed with the new bouncers also includes the zero tolerance policy. Actually, while I was working in my zone committee, as part of the looking into inclusivity, we've also been looking into how we can actually improve zero tolerance so it's sensitive to as many minorities as possible and can really basically protect their rights the most. And that's something I'd really want to work on as VP Welfare.
Thank you very much, guys. So, next question, once again, for the whole lot of you, it's pretty simply, how important is working with the wider community? And Alex, if you could kick us off.
Working with the wider community is one of the great ways that Kent Union can have an outreach to members, to the public, to the Canterbury County Council. I think that it's something that allows us to present a face forward, and it allows us to show the community what students are really like. It's great about breaking down barriers, that maybe stereotypes that everyday people have about students. So it's definitely important for making our lives easier as well as theirs, and fostering communities. And if you live off campus and you're living next to neighbours, like my neighbour next door, it's great to go and talk to them and be able to relate to them. It just makes life so much easier.
Thank you very much. Emma, you're next.
Okay. Well, I think working with the community is really important. I think that a lot of people have a bit of a negative attitude towards, negative stereotype towards students, And so I really work on trying to change that a little bit. And the way that I do that is focusing on the good work that students do through volunteering. And so like supporting the student-led volunteering groups. And like one of the things that I do to encourage more students to volunteer is that at the moment, like if you go onto the CQT website, it takes you ages to find the list of volunteering groups. Whereas if you're going to a society or sporting group, you only have to click one button. So I think I would try and like get the volunteering groups to be at the same like page as the like societies and stuff to encourage more people to like volunteer. And, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Megan?
Yeah, if anyone's heard me talk about the community before, they would have probably heard this, but quite often students, it's set out as students versus the community, and what we need to remember that students are part of the communities, and that's why one of my manifesto points is about getting students onto their local residents associations to have their say in their local community. It's about sharing the skills and knowledge. You know, there might be someone that has lived in Canterbury next door to you for 40 years, and you can find out what your area used to be like, but you can also go help them, you know, if they've got small children, or if they've got, it's an elderly family, you can go out there and help them, and kind of sharing those skills and knowledge is a great way to bring in the community together to kind of get rid of this us versus them kind of rhetoric that we have, because we all live in the same place and we all need to kind of live together.
Thank you for that, Megan. And last but not least, Georgia.
Well, I think volunteering is very important. I love it. I've done the KSCB Awards. I'm a student ambassador, which isn't really volunteering, but still working with the community. And it's so much fun for both sides of the community and uni. And it's just really rewarding seeing how happy people are. And you can learn so much, even from just going out to schools and speaking to the children there. The worries they have are like so different from worries we had when we were younger, and you really feel you can take a role advising them. And sorry, I'm just a really big fan of volunteering. I'd like to promote RAG and get more student ambassadors on board, just to improve ties with the community, as well as increase awareness that roles like that are available, and make the application process for those type of jobs quite a bit easier.
Thank you very much. Okay, next question is the fact that if elected into this role, you'll have the very demanding task of being responsible for the entire student body. How important is your previous experience towards this kind of trying task that you'll be put into? And Emma, you'll start us off.
Well, I'm currently the president of Canterbury Outreach, and at the start of the year we had like many difficulties that we were facing. Like to begin with, I was the only committee member because there was some elections in the summer, and like the previous year there'd only been like 2 meetings throughout the whole entire year, and so at the start of the year we only had like 5 members who didn't really know each other, and like we've been working really hard to like get more people involved, and now we have like a group that meets every Monday, and they're meeting right now, and like we just had a fundraising event, an open mic night in Withys, and we're trying to get a street outreach project and stuff. And like the amount of hours, like I spend hours every week working with this society, and so I think I understand like hard work and hard determined like you have to be to get stuff done.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to go to Megan.
Well, being in the job and my achievements that I've done, such as extending the Rutherford and Elliott tenancy licence from 31 weeks to 37 weeks for no extra cost, saving students £600, securing £3,500 from the university for mental health provision. Kind of says what I've done, but you know, it's not just the last year that I've been fighting for students. In my second year, I was an LGBT officer. In my third year, I was a women's officer, and I've been fighting for students' rights on a kind of campus level, at university meetings, at a local level, speaking up against Article 4 directions coming in to Canterbury, and the national level, fighting for international students against the immigration bill that's coming in. So I think that I've kind of got a vast knowledge, and I've kind of got a good record to stand on, that I've got the experience.
And as well as a volunteer group that works to raise awareness about human trafficking. I've also been the facilitator of Your Rights Zone this year, which has been working directly with the same things that are shared by the welfare remit. Having said that, I think it's more about having the best policies and the best passion and the best ideas and caring about it. And I think that's exactly what I do.
Right. Thank you very much. And Georgia.
Well, I know the Kent University really, really well. I've been a student ambassador, like I said before. I've won the KSCB awards. I've got awards for the highest employability points, and I just love getting involved with the campus. And I think knowing what people want now is more important. I think I want to set up more online resources so people can talk easily, like they can just come home from like a bad day, write a quick blog in Facebook group or whatever, oh, this day's been crap because, and like that way I can see what.
Very much, Georgia. So now we're moving on to our final question, which if I'm not wrong, we are passing over to Daisy for the final question. No, we're not. Excuse me, everyone. But with the final question, then, it's my honour to give it to you, which is the classic, which is, what made you run for the position in the first place? And we shall start with Alex.
Welfare is something that I think is the most important, one of the most important and yet one of the most overlooked roles in the sabbatical team. I've been at university for 3 years now, and I've experienced things that I think we can improve the life of students. We can pass policies to improve students' life with these things, and I think my policies reflect the issues that I've experienced, the issues that my friends have experienced, and I really want to help make a change with them.
Thank you very much, Alex. Georgia.
Well, like I mentioned before, I did counselling for a couple of months last year, and it was related to a health problem that was quite a big health scare actually, and I ended up having to work from the hospital for a while. But Kent was really understanding. They let me hand in my assignments online. They let me do lectures online. Like, I just want to make sure. I ran for welfare because I want to make sure everyone is as well taken care of as I was, because it can be so scary at university, and I really want to make it as easy and as fun and enjoyable as possible for everyone.
Thank you very much. Megan.
I feel that I've got the passion for the role, and I've kind of got what it takes. I've got the knowledge. I've got my policies. I'm really pleased with the policies that I've got in my manifesto. And I think that it's about making change and about saying, we're here for students, whether that be on an individual level or on a campus-wide campaign to tackle payday loans, to tackle accommodation prices. And I think that it's, like I said in my speech, it's about my passion for opportunity and for inclusion, and making sure that the students at Kent have the best welfare and well-being that they possibly can.
Thank you very much. Emma, you have the last word.
During my time as Kent Supremacist Outreach President, I've discovered that I'm not just passionate about helping the homeless, but I've also become really passionate about the members in that society. And this passion for helping them has also extended to other students as well. And then I really want to focus on helping the students that just stay locked in their room. I know so many students who have just stayed in their rooms, and one of my first friends that I made at university, she just disappeared off campus, and it was really strange and quite disheartening as well. And so I really want to become a welfare officer so I can help students like that. And, yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, VP Welfare candidates. Can we get a round of applause for the candidates? I know if